right. Good evening. I'd like to call to order the September 26, 2024 regular meeting of the Park Board of Commissioners. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Monica, can we please have the roll call?
President Gibson?
Here.
Vice President Ruffing?
Here.
Commissioner Ansier?
Here.
Commissioner Jacks?
Here.
Commissioner Janner, absent. Commissioner Risvold?
Here.
Commissioner Thompson?
Here.
President Gibson, I've been notified that Commissioner Janner has requested to participate remotely due to business purposes.
Thank you.
Move to allow remote meeting participation of Commissioner Janner per Section 7 of the Open Meetings Act.
Second. Roll call, please.
Vice President Ruffing?
Yes.
Commissioner Thompson?
Yes.
Commissioner Ansier?
Yes.
Commissioner Jacks?
Yes.
Commissioner Risvold?
Yes.
Commissioner Thompson?
Oh,
Thank you. Sorry.
Yes.
President Gibson?
Yes. All right. Commissioner Janner, can you hear us?
Yes, thank you.
Awesome. Great. Monica, do we have any matters from the public?
We do not.
Okay, then we'll move on to the consent agenda. Would you please read the consent agenda?
Item 3.1, approve September 12, 2024 regular meeting minutes. 3.2, move to ratify the action of the Executive Director to submit legislative priorities to the Illinois Association of Park Districts, IAPD. 3.3, award the contract for the DuPage River Sports Complex Field Number 2 fence renovation project to Classic Fence, Inc. in the amount of $61,113, and to authorize staff to carry a further 5% contingency for a total authorized expenditure for the project in an amount not to exceed $64,170. That is all.
Wonderful. A short one after last time. Are there any items to be removed from the consent agenda? No?
Move to accept consent agenda items 3.1 through 3.3.
Second. Roll call, please.
Vice President Ruffing?
Yes.
Commissioner Thompson?
Yes.
Commissioner Ansier?
Yes.
Commissioner Jacks?
Yes.
Commissioner Janner?
Yes.
Commissioner Risvold?
Yes.
President Gibson?
Yes.
Move to approve consent agenda items 3.1 through 3.3.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you. We'll move on to unfinished business. Board policies and bylaws update.
Thank you, President Gibson. So at the last meeting, the meeting on August 22nd, the discussion of proposed updates to the board policies and bylaws was presented. And as a result of that discussion, we took additional time to receive board feedback on proposed changes to those policies. Since that meeting, we've updated a couple of areas, the first being under the acceptance of proposed donations of capital items or improvements. That section was updated to include that acceptance of donations must be approved by a 5-7 vote of the Board of Commissioners. That's consistent with our park naming policy. And then under acceptance of a donation criteria, we removed the statement that stated that the donation must meet a true need of a park or facility. Much of the remaining document remains unchanged from the review on August 22nd, other than some minor adjustments to the document text and section headings that were completed by legal counsel. This evening, we'd like to see if there's any additional feedback or questions from the board in preparation for bringing the board policies and updates, bylaws updates to the next meeting for approval.
Sounds good. Thank you, Executive Director Wilson. Any questions, comments? No? Okay, hearing none, then I think we're good to bring it back at next meeting or whenever works. Awesome.
I'm sorry, I have one quick question.
Oh, yeah.
If we did have any other things we wanted to adjust, we just send a message if we did, or I'm just saying, like, if we decide after tonight to look at it further, or no?
If you do look at it further and you submit any additional feedback, please send it to me, and then we'll still certainly work to bring the final document to the board for approval at the next meeting.
Thank you.
Great. All right, thanks. We will move on to discussion and new business. We'll start with the 2025 ADA transition plan.
Good evening. As an update, the Naperville Park District's ADA transition plan is scheduled to be completed in 2025 as part of an organizational initiative. The Park District's ADA transition plan is linked to the capital plan in order to ensure recommended changes are implemented when completing annual improvements. The Park District last updated its ADA transition plan in 2014, with an audit of parks and facilities to maintain compliance with the latest accessibility guidelines and standards. In 2014, the district further prepared park and facility summary of improvement reports that captured public input and information compiled from a district-wide audit conducted by Mark Trelaff with ACT Services, an ADA consultant who works with Western DuPage Special Rec Association, as we know as WDSRA, and local park districts. Over the years, Mark assisted the Naperville Park District in the design and implementation phases of the Fort Hill Activity Center, 95th Street Community Plaza, and Wolf's Crossing Community Park projects to ensure that new improvements comply with existing and proposed accessibility guidelines and standards. Similar to the 2014 update, proposed goals for the 2025 plan are to gather community input and assess existing parks and facilities to ensure that park system improvements and existing infrastructure is compliant with respect to the most recent standards, guidelines, and policies, as well as accessible to the community well into the future. As a professional service, and considering that ACT Services retains intellectual capital about the district's parks and facilities, it is recommended by staff to commission the firm to complete the ADA transition plan update in 2025. A total of $60,000 is planned to be allocated in the 2025 capital budget for professional services to complete the ADA transition plan update. The cost is proposed to be covered by special recreational funds dedicated for ADA accessibility improvements throughout the park system. A contract for professional services to conduct the 2025 ADA transition plan is planned to be presented at a park board meeting in late 2024, so later this year.
Are there any questions? Commissioner Janner?
Nope.
I've got a couple questions. First of all, you mentioned gathering community input. What will that look like?
Yes, so very similar to our capital projects open house, there'll be an opportunity online as well as there's going to be in-person type meetings. We will work directly with our staff, and as I mentioned, we would present the contract to the board. If the board approves it, we will work directly with Mark Trelaff and his team to ensure that we're reaching out to the community. Another key touch point would be WDSRA. As we know, we're members of that organization, so they're going to help in assisting communicating our initiative and gathering input for us as well.
Okay. So we'd also do like public posting so people would know to go. And I'm also thinking like there's so many groups in the city, like Citizen Accessibility Task Force, I think.
Yes,
we would proactively reach out to them?
Absolutely.
Okay, wonderful. And then my other question, which maybe for legal counsel, is does this qualify as an exempt project for bidding because of the relationship with this company was 10 years ago. It still qualifies that we don't need to go to bidding for it?
Professional services do not have to be.
Okay. Okay, so
There's an express exception.
professional services. Okay. All right, those were my questions. All right, thank you. Thanks for doing this update. And it's covered by the special rec fund?
Yes,
Okay.
we will be seeking reimbursement through the special rec fund for this project.
Wonderful.
Yes. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Max's mission proposal?
Yes, so as described at the August 8th, 2024 Parks and Recreation Committee meeting, a representative of Max's mission suggested the idea of murals being donated to the district with the intent that if the gift were accepted, the district would install and display them adjacent to the Rothmel Family Skate Facility at Centennial Park. Max's mission is a non-profit organization that was established by the Wajenko family in Naperville to honor the life and legacy of their beloved son Max, who died by suicide in March of 2022. The organization's mission is to provide support, outreach, and empowerment to those impacted by suicide loss through postvention and community outreach. Staff collaborated with representatives of Max's mission and identified a possible location and options for displaying murals on small concrete structures, display structures at Centennial Park adjacent to the Rothmel Family Skate Facility. At this time, 2 concrete display structures with the approximate dimensions of 4 feet tall by 24 feet long and 18 inches wide, as well as 5 feet tall 20 feet long, and approximately 18 inches wide, are being proposed with the estimated project estimate of $32,000. Representatives of Max's Mission are working to obtain funding to cover project costs for installation of the artwork, display structures, and the cost of the regular maintenance while the artwork is showcased at Centennial Park. One effort, for example, is Max's Mission is in the process of submitting a SECA grant application. As for next steps, Max's Mission will be submitting a complete proposal package with mural artwork, concrete display pieces locations, as well as proposed dimensions, and other project details for review and consideration at upcoming Parks and Recreation Committee and Park Board meetings. If there is an interest by the Park Board to approve the artwork and accept the murals as a donation, then staff will draft a grant of license agreement for formal approval at an upcoming Park Board meeting. This is very similar to the project that we processed and worked through for the Gold Star Families Memorial Monument. So just want to share that information with the board this evening.
Any questions? No, that sounds great. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Studio One improvements.
Contracts for the completion of improvements to the Studio One buildings are anticipated to be presented to the Park Board for approval this fall. The Studio One building is primarily used for the district's pottery program. The improvements planned for the building include the replacement of the HVAC system and ductwork, as well as general carpentry work, in addition to completing proactive, preventative remediation of items from operations and the building's original construction. The proactive remediation is the removal of various shelving, cabinets, and other porous surfaces that have accumulated years of dust, together with work on the floor and other surfaces so that the HVAC improvements can be as efficient and effective as possible. The building is currently closed, and pottery classes are not planned to meet during the fall session. Pottery classes are slated to resume in 2025 following the improvements work. Funds are available within the 2025 capital budget to kick off improvements for the Studio One building this year, as well as there's funds available for it in this year's capital budget 2024.
Does anybody have any questions? No. How much is Studio One used? Is it pretty programmed out? I'm not sure what the right term would be.
So Studio One, it's utilized year-round. I don't have the exact number of classes that take place there throughout the course of the year, but it is used each season throughout the year for the pottery and the ceramic classes. So one of the things that as we work through this project and the improvements, we'd like to be able to potentially utilize some of the space for additional art classes to be able to take place at the facility beyond the pottery programs that are there at the facility now. So that's something that staff is evaluating as we work through this.
Okay. It's been a while since I've tried to sign up for a pottery class, but when my kids were younger, I know it was one of the ones that filled up right away. So it's a pretty popular program we have, right? Okay, and then also I've heard there might be some plumbing issues or like a smell. I had a resident mention that from the floor. Is that something we've heard of or aware of or that we can look into as we're doing work in there?
That's something we can definitely look into. That's kind of first I've heard of it, but when we start working through more of the scope, we will analyze that, and that's great that there is comments and input on that because we will definitely look into it now.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Great.
So, oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
There's no other place we can do classes in the meantime?
I'm sorry, what was the question?
Are there other places to do the classes in the meantime while they're fixing that?
Unfortunately not. Staff did look into the option to utilize other spaces, potentially through like the schools, but they're not available for the program. So no, we've been unable to relocate the classes for the fall.
Okay. All right, looking forward to the improvements.
All right, thank you.
All right, thanks. All right, next is soccer trainer services.
Fancy seeing me here, right? So I'm
Not
standing in for
unexpected.
Andrea tonight.
Sounds good, thank you.
Each soccer season, the district provides our Naperville Premier Soccer League teams with the option of having professionally led practice sessions or games with a specialized trainer. These trainers are contracted through an agreement we have with Soccer Success, better known as Corver Coaching. Currently, we have 69 teams using soccer trainer services. At the end of this year, our 3-year agreement with Soccer Success for these trainer services is set to expire. In preparation for the end of the year, staff issued a request for proposal to soccer training service companies in providing these services. The deadline for submission was September 12th, and at which time we received only one submission, which was submitted by our current provider, Soccer Success. Their submitted proposal is similar to the current agreement, but with a proposed 5% fee increase. Staff have been pleased with the services provided by Soccer Success over the last several years and recommend entering into another one-year agreement with the option to automatically renew for an additional 2 years. This agreement will be brought to the board for approval at the October 10th board meeting. Any
Thank
questions?
you. Any questions?
The 5% increase, is that pretty standard? They do it every year?
I don't believe, I would have to look back at the past contract to see if there were built-in price increases. It is consistent with what we're seeing just as far as just overall costs associated with labor, supplies, and materials. So it doesn't appear to be out of line with what costs have been in other areas.
I do have numbers from 22, 23, and then 24, but it doesn't really necessarily jive with a 5% increase. So in 2022, we paid $97,439. In 2023, it was $85,125, and then we've paid out $33,600 so far. But it also flexes based on the number of teams that are taking advantage of the services and to what extent.
And again, this is an option for the Premier teams to have that professional trainer work with the teams. It's not a requirement for the Premier program.
And the prices for the teams that use the trainer then reflect, right? There's it's offset
So
by
if we see
residents.
increases with, in this case, a 5% increase in the coaching cost to utilize the trainers, then there would be a cost increase to the teams that want to utilize that service to offset that.
Okay. All right. Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Recycling dumpster services.
I see the smiles. As shared most recently at the September 12th, 2024 Parks and Rec Committee meeting, staff intends to present for approval renewal of our recycling and dumpster service contract for the 2025 calendar year at a meeting in October. Staff sought competitive bids for the project during the fall of 2022, with a one-year contract awarded for the 2023 season and 2 additional year-long renewal options. The board approved that initial contract with Groot at the October 13th, 2022 meeting. Prior to the expiration of the initial 2023 contract, Groot had contacted staff and indicated that an 8% increase to their fee structure would need to be implemented as a required condition to renew the contract for 2024. Groot shared that these increases were needed to offset rising labor and operational costs. Including those fee increases, staff determined that the total anticipated value of Groot's contract would still be less than the next lowest bidder and recommended to renew. The board approved that contract with the amended fee structure at the October 12th, 2023 meeting. This contract for 2025 represents the second and final renewal option. Fee structures agreed upon for the 2024 contract will not change, resulting in a static pricing structure for 2025. This is where I need to mention that Groot did reach out to us and said they needed to implement an 8% fee increase going into this year. We mentioned that, hey, you did that to us last year, what's going on? And they said, well, we forgot to increase your pricing for this year, so we'll actually come in under budget for 2024, and then those price structures will remain that we agreed upon for 24 and same for 2025. So it's the same amount that we agreed to last year, and the pricing and our budgets will remain static from 2024 to 2025. A little bit confusing, sorry about that. Based on historical averages amongst the district's departments, the contract has an estimated total value of $61,607. Any questions?
Any questions, Commissioner Janner?
Nope.
All right.
Thank you.
Oh, go ahead.
Just making sure I understand. So they said last year 8%, this year they said 8%. You said, why is that? And they hadn't actually charged the 8% increase?
Right.
And
So we
didn't know
did
that?
build this year's budget with the fee increase,
Okay.
and they just didn't charge those higher rates.
Oh, okay.
So we will see that 8% increase actually realized in 2025.
Okay, we didn't notice that? Or-
Well, some of our, they fluctuate. I know
So
garbage
it's not
is an
like right off
interesting.
the bat, like,
Right,
okay.
right. Some of our dumpsters
That's what I
are
was
just
wondering,
picked
I'm
up
like,
weekly, and it has a set fee. Some of them we have to call in when they're full, and they have different rates, so
Got
it's
it.
not just necessarily the same bill
So
every
it's not like
single
obvious
month.
that, okay.
Right.
All right, I was just curious, thanks.
It's interesting. All right. Okay, sounds good. Thank you. Next, surplus.
Surplus. District staff have identified several items as no longer needed for Park District purposes, and we anticipate providing a declaration of surplus property ordinance for approval at the October 10th, 2024 regular meeting of the board. At this time, a detailed list of the items supplied by multiple departments is still being finalized and will be provided in an upcoming weekly packet. As is our normal practice, once the declaration is approved, each item would be sold, recycled, traded in, or disposed of.
Sounds great. Thank you. All right.
Thank you.
Thanks. Next up, network equipment.
Good evening. So as detailed in the September 20th weekly board packet, the IT department has been planning much needed updates to network and Wi-Fi equipment across the district. The majority of this equipment across the district is at or near end of life currently. Additionally, the current equipment presents management and security concerns based on that age. Earlier this summer, proof testing of some leading network solutions was performed and a preferred solution was identified. We've received 2 initial quotes for the replacement equipment, and we're expecting some additional quotes within the next week. Approval for the equipment is expected to be brought to the board at the October 10th meeting. And the numbers currently are falling within capital dollars that were budgeted in the IT budget for 2024.
Awesome. Any questions? No? All
It's
right.
exciting
Thanks.
stuff.
Yep. Equally exciting, phone system conversion.
So, as mentioned in some past IT department updates, we're looking to replace the existing phone system. The current system was initially deployed in 2008 with various upgrades over the years. And while the system delivered many advantages over the earlier non-networked systems that preceded it, in the current environment, it does present management and security concerns and limitations in mobility, and looming increases in operating costs as well as significant capital outlay if we were to try to bring it up to current standards and support. The IT department has been given demos of multiple modern cloud-based phone systems that address all those concerns. We're currently completing proof testing with the preferred platform based on those demos, and it's going really well. The new system will allow mobility when people are outside the network. Someone needs to work from home, no big deal. You can still get access to the phone system and utilize it. Much easier management for the IT department, improved security, all while actually eliminating the capital component of the system. We're expecting to move forward, and we'll be leveraging pricing through the interlocal purchasing system, co-op or TIPS, which the district has been a member of since 2019. And we'll be looking to implement probably early Q1 of next year.
What do you mean by eliminating the capital component?
The current on-premise phone system, at every one of the buildings that we have phone things, there's an actual network router that's there. So there's 15 or 16 of those district-wide.
Okay.
I think 4 of them aren't at that end-of-life period, and each one of them would be about $8,000 to $12,000 to replace. The new system, the phone can get to the internet, it talks out to their systems, and it's just an operating expense for the service covered every month.
Wonderful. Cool. Thanks. Any other questions? No?
Great.
Awesome. Thank
Thank
you. Naperville irrigation recharge well update.
Good evening. In your September 20th weekly packet, a memo was provided detailing the plans to contract for the repairs of the damaged Naperville irrigation pond recharge well. Currently, Naperville has been operating using a temporary pump to provide irrigation water for the golf course, and this has been operating without any issues throughout the season. The temporary pump has remained in place due to the expected time frame. It would take several weeks to repair and replace the damaged Naperville pump components. Now that the irrigation season is ending, planning can begin to remove the temporary pump and replace the repaired Naperville pump. Waterwell Solutions, the original contractor, has provided staff with a proposal for the repair of the damaged pump and well components, which totals $98,800, which is currently being reviewed by the district's insurer and risk control consultant. The proposal is presented using the unit prices from the original well bid approved in October of 2023. It is expected the cost for the well repair will be covered by insurance, less than the district's deductible. The district has already received reimbursement from the insurance claim for the cost of the temporary well. Once the claim is approved by Travelers, staff intends to provide a contract for the board's consideration for the repairs for the Naperbrook well at an upcoming board meeting.
Questions? So we're using the same company that put it in originally,
That's correct.
and we don't know why it failed yet? Did we have a reason
We do know why
failed?
it failed. There was a coupler in the shaft that failed. There was a claim from the contractor that the way that the coupler was put together, it could possibly be backed out of it, causing the shear.
Okay.
The insurance company is reviewing that presently.
Okay. And sorry, just, we're going, this is going out to bid, or we're just, okay. Okay, but we're comfortable with this company. Have we used them in the past for other projects?
We have used them in the past with good success. They actually redid the Naperbrook, or the Springbrook well in 2021. We've had no issues from that.
Yeah, given the posture of this case, where it is now, our duty is not to bid under the procurement statute, but to mitigate our damages so that the insurance claim is perfected in that way. And so using the contractor against whom we're ascribing fault, particularly the insurance company believes there's fault, the contractor has asserted a defense based upon power fluctuations from ComEd and the impact that could have had on torquing this pipe. Not our problem. But we do have to cooperate with the insurance company in the effort to mitigate damages. So having these folks control the repair cost obviously mitigates the damages that they would then have to pay.
In doing so, we're confident that Travelers is going to cover the total cost then?
Well, the coverage determination has been made. Yeah, I mean, they're supposed to cover all of the costs less our deductible.
Right.
So.
Okay.
Okay. All right. I'm content. All right. Sounds good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. So that wraps up new business, and we'll move on to department updates. We'll start with admin.
Good evening. Candidate packets are now available for pickup at the administration building for the 4 park commissioners positions that will open up next spring. The election will be held on April 1st, 2025, and the filing period runs from November 12th through November 18th, 2024. On a separate note, the Parade of Lights that is sponsored by the Rotary Club of Naperville will be held the day after Thanksgiving on November 29th, and members of Magical Starlight Theater will also march and showcase their next production as Cinderella. Please let me know if you are interested in marching in the parade by November 8th.
November 8th.
Any questions?
No, it's great.
It's a really fun parade, so everyone should do it.
Yes, November 8th. Okay. Sounds good. Thank you. Next is finance.
Good evening. It is September, and so you're going to hear the same report I usually give around this time about how busy we are with budget. So I have not checked out. We are, as we tease about in the office. So again, we'll be following the same schedule. You'll get a book in October, and we'll start having meetings then with the presentation in November, and then approval of the budget, tax levy, appropriation ordinance in December. So pleased to give this report, probably one last time to say budget, and I'll let the others take over. Any questions?
No.
Thank you.
Thanks. All right, golf.
Good evening again. A couple updates from golf. The irrigation project in Naperbrook has been progressing since from late August. Work is expected to wrap up soon on the trenching of the main line, so we're looking forward to that. That work includes removing sod and excavating a 36-inch deep trench to install a 6-inch to 12-inch pipe to carry the irrigation water throughout the golf course. This work around the golfers has been going rather smoothly. The staff and the contractor have done a great job of limiting the impact to the playability of the course. The trenching of the mainland has uncovered one issue. There are a large number of rocks in the soil at Naperville, so while that's not causing any slowdown with the trenching of the main lines, the need to clear the rocks from the fill so the pipes are bedded with clean material has slowed the progress of filling and cleaning the trenches, adding some additional time and labor from the contractor. So staff and the architect are monitoring the progress. We'll review the work to determine if there's any added cost that might be expected. Any changes referred to the bid, which includes a schedule of unit prices, including costs for removal of unsuitable backfill, which will help determine what costs may be incurred. A couple other updates. It may seem like summer just ended last week with those 90-degree temperatures, but October is beginning on Tuesday, so for golf, that means Golftoberfest at our courses. Celebration is geared towards our frequent players and our Brooks Advantage golfers. We provide them with discounts on golf and other specials all month, thanking them for their patronage. The fall weather is the best time for golf, and during October, green fee discounts will be available daily, along with specials on merchandise and food and beverage. Staff at both courses also have been very busy with plenty of golfers and range throughout the last month. The rain on Saturday and Tuesday this past week was very welcomed. It was our first measurable rainfall in over a month. So that weather's been great for golfers. It certainly has provided some unexpected challenges for the maintenance staff. They don't plan for warm and dry weather the weather we experienced in September. And it made it difficult for the turf and plants that normally use that time to recover from the summer stresses. The staff, however, did an excellent job adjusting to the weather. The courses are both looking excellent. And work over the next few weeks will include preparing the courses for winter with fall cleanups, some final fertilizer applications, and cutting back some of the native areas. And finally, the clubhouse staff are seeing the final weeks of a successful season for both our league play. We had both our women's leagues and our permanent tee times wrapping up this week. A few more events remain at both courses. We have our fall scramble on October 12th and our annual turkey shoot on November 23rd and 24th. Staff will expect to see public play on our ranges open well into November and most likely December, weather permitting.
Great. All right. Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Human Resources.
Good evening. Last Thursday, the district hosted our annual biometric screening for benefit-eligible employees. This event is a keystone to the district's employee wellness efforts, as the participation level in the screening drives the rebate received from our insurance cooperative, IPBC, to fund our year-round wellness activities. This year's participation was outstanding. We had 70 employees screened and 43 flu vaccinations administered to employees. If individuals were unable to participate in the event on that day for any reason, an off-site screening option was available, and we've had an additional 10 employees register for that option. So, speaking about IPBC, another advantage to our IPBC membership is that members have various opportunities to be involved in the cooperative itself. For example, I've served 2 terms on the operations committee and on a special committee that evaluated employee assistance programs. This morning, I was elected to a 2-year term on IPBC's executive board, and I'm looking forward to serving the membership in this new capacity. And we're going to keep the benefits train rolling in my update here. Our insurance broker that we partner with for our vision and dental insurance, because we place those in the commercial market, we're not receiving those benefits through the cooperative. They took our plan to market, and because our current carrier came back with a ridiculous and unacceptable rate increase. So the broker sought quotes from 10 providers, 2 of which actually they declined to quote. So today, Cindy on my team, who is our benefits coordinator, our broker, and I met with representatives from Humana on site. The presentation covered a number of topics, including network overlay, so there'd be, we could evaluate what the kind of the disruption may be to our employees, and then also the comparison of each plan side by side. I expect that I'll bring a recommendation to place the district's dental insurance benefit with Humana to the next meeting for your consideration. Humana's quote included a 7% increase, which is approximately $8,400 on an annual basis, and a 2-year rate guarantee. The cost of dental benefits is partially set off by employee contributions. So last Friday, completely different topic, the Illinois Parks and Recreation Association's Administration and Finance HR Special Group, it's that long, hosted its inaugural HR Symposium. I had the opportunity to serve on the planning committee for the event. The event offered an opening session, breakout sessions, a closing session, and a vendor exhibition area. The Carroll Stream Park District hosted this event of over 100 Parks and Recreation professionals that are either HR staff or staff who has HR as part of their job responsibilities. A special thank you to Ansel Kling for being an event sponsor and contributing to the event's success.
Any questions? Congratulations on your election.
Thank
it's
you.
exciting. And it sounds like a successful event in Carroll Street.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, it was
sounds
great. Thank you.
All right, thanks. Marketing and communications. Nope. IT. Sorry, IT. No, nope, sorry. Jumping ahead.
All right. A couple of updates from IT. First off, Cybersecurity Awareness Month, which is celebrated every October. Well, we're at October. So IT is going to be sharing content on a variety of security topics with staff and the board, as we have the last couple of years on a weekly basis. Some of the content that we're looking at with some of our security partners focus on some topics that we've heard about before, business email compromise, because it's such a critical topic, but as well as some newer concerns around AI and deep fakes are going to be presented as well. So. And then some update on just project work that IT has been working through. Access control system consolidation. So last week, working with vendors, we completed merging the systems that control the keyless access here at Fort Hill and at the central maintenance facility into the system that controls the north and south maintenance facilities. Provides less management overhead, some contract consolidation, and the decommissioning of 2 end-of-life servers. And with this, while working with the vendors wasn't that hard, anytime you're merging systems, there's always some stuff that you have to work through afterward. A huge shout out to Robert for working through that, because he's been catching any of the stuff that has to get addressed, and it's been getting cleaned up really well. Another project, new backups deployment. We're nearly complete in deployment of a new backup solution for all of our files and servers. It'll provide more frequent backup, restore points, a third party that's providing verification on a daily basis that each of the server backups can come back up to a log on screen versus just trusting that the job said, oh yeah, we got it. On an annual basis, they'll also be working with us to explicitly lay out a dedicated disaster recovery plan, and once a year do a full spin-up test to ensure that we can do full restorations. Penetration test completion. This year's penetration test reports have been received from the vendor that completed that test this summer. We've done an initial review of the reports, and we're planning a deep dive review in the upcoming weeks to go through item by item for any action steps that we need to take. And then as of today, the district's timekeeping systems have been cut over to our vendor's hosted solution, again, allowing us to get off of a legacy product and transition to a more updated model. That's it.
Questions? All right, thank
Few
you.
things.
And thanks, Robert. All right, now marketing and communications.
All right, I have a few things. First, all right, so as you know, we've had a lot of events this year. We're getting to the tail end of that whole long list. We've got 2 more. We have the Frank J. Russ Pavilion dedication. That's coming up this Saturday, and there'll be more information about that in the Recreation Department report. We do have the Winding Creek Park Playground ribbon cutting, last playground ribbon cutting of the year. That's going to be on Tuesday, October 8th at 5 p.m. So excited about that. We're going to have a couple of events we're carrying over to next year, and then we'll start the process all over again. So looking forward to that. We also have our sponsor appreciation event, which I mentioned a couple of months ago, that will be here at Fort Hill on Thursday, October 17th at 8 a.m. And it's going to be a nice opportunity for board and staff to meet a lot of our sponsors, to network with them, to thank them for sponsoring with the Park District and being a part of everything that we have to offer. We're going to have a light breakfast, and that's also going to be followed by 30 minutes of guided meditation. So kind of a nice way to start your day. And then, so moving on to what I just gave you there to route, our Careers Grow Here initiative. So this is something that we rolled out a little bit more than a year ago, and this was an opportunity for the district to really promote not only our jobs, but really careers in the Park District industry. So it was a way to kind of brand that. We rolled out a web page, which you can see there, which we've since updated. When we first rolled it out, we were profiling 4 different staff members and kind of their path to Parks and Recreation, which was more or less of a non-traditional kind of a way to get there. We've since updated it with 4 new employees. So it's just a nice way to kind of refresh that information and to show additional people different paths to the industry that we all work in. So that's been updated. The other 2 pieces that are accompanying the website information are brochures that marketing and HR have worked on very closely together. That partnership continues, which is great. As Katie's mentioned before, this is just something that we need to keep working on and kind of evolving over time to make sure that we're getting really quality candidates and that we're providing the information that as HR is going out to these different job fairs and job opportunities, that we're helping the candidates really connect with the Park District and what we're all about. And that's a nice opportunity for them to see some of the staff that work in the various departments and some of their credentials as well. So that's been a really nice improvement this past year. Lastly, and you each have these cards sitting at your places, and I know you've seen these before, but I wanted to bring to your attention something that's new on here. And in the vein of being more inclusive and understanding the changing demographics of our community and being more welcoming, we are adding this Google Translate ad to some of our pieces, and you can see it on both of these. And I don't know how many of you have used Google Translate. It's a nice option. It's something nice to have and give people the opportunity to easily, and it works pretty well, translate our pieces that are in English to a number of different languages. So that's something that you'll see ongoing as we continue to refine the information that we put together from a marketing perspective. And that's it. Any questions?
Sorry. Yeah, first of all, this is great. I really like these. It's fun to see the pictures of so many faces I know from around the district.
Yeah.
Where are we putting the brochures? Are we distributing them?
So those are going to our job fairs as staff goes out to various career opportunities. Anything more to that than that, or?
Yeah, so the job fairs, and then anytime that anyone's asked to speak at the different high schools, like I'll have something coming up in November, and I'll take those with me as well. So even though it's not a job fair, anytime we have the opportunity to promote the industry and the district as an employer, those are taken.
Awesome. I wonder if we have a relationship with like COD or North Central, because they probably all have career centers, right? Because those are really nice looking brochures. That's awesome. And just another quick thing, I drove down Knock Knolls and I saw, what do we call it? The big electronic sign. It's a great idea. I don't know who came up with that, but I don't know if you've all driven that way in the last couple of days, but the one that's often used for traffic, what's that called?
The one from the city?
Yeah, the city one.
Portable digital sign or whatever.
Yeah,
right,
and
right.
It flashes the events happening this weekend, the time and the date.
We've done that from time to time, and we really appreciate the city's support and us being able to use that. So
it's
yeah,
the city,
it
and
was
then
courtesy of them. Yes.
Okay, and then I saw the signs along the walkway. So good job promoting the event.
Thank you.
I think it'll be really nice. And since we're wrapping up the ribbon cuttings, I know we had a lot this year, a lot of really great attendance. Some of them, I think, even across the board, most attendance I've seen in the last 3 years doing it. So thank you for all your work. And
You're
I know,
welcome.
it kind of goes across all teams, and so many of you come to the ribbon cuttings, which is really nice and appreciated. So thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks.
Thanks.
All right, Park Police.
All right, good evening. So first and foremost, our Park Service officers' summer operations are drawing to a close. Even though Centennial Beach closed almost a month ago, we were able to keep 2 Park Service officers on daily to to patrol our 139 parks and 77 miles of bike paths through this coming Saturday. I'm happy to report they've actually logged over 7,000 miles on our UTV, and when the UTV is not available, they're utilizing the bikes. So when I tell you that they have visited every park in the district and have been down every mile of bike path, I mean they have visited repeatedly every park and gone down every mile of bike path. Our shift hours for the officers are going to be scaled back from 8 a.m. to 10:30 as opposed to 8 a.m. to midnight. Our highest profile special events have drawn to a close with the exception of Halloween happenings slated for later next month. All of the threatened street and park district parking lot takeover events seem to have evaporated for the year. Our focus as an organization is now going to turn to mandated training over the winter. We are continuing to work closely with the Naperville Police Department to complete mandated blocks of training in topics like de-escalation, felony traffic stops, and active shooter response. I don't know if you realize how this works, but the city police pick 2 days worth of topics every quarter, and then they allow for 2 days a week for 3 months to get their entire department through that training. We're fortunate in that when I have officers available to attend the training, they allow me to work my guys into their training. So then they are getting the mandated training that they need, and just as importantly, they are working and training closely with the Naperville police that they traditionally haven't had a lot of contact with other than arriving on a call together. So now when they show up, the officers from Naperville know that they're going through the same training that the officers have, and it makes them a little more comfortable when we're tackling critical incidents. Most of the officers have been trained and equipped with our Taser 10s, and all of the officers have become proficient in the use of their body cams. The city is implementing a new computer-aided dispatch program December 1st. Again, this is something that's been in the works for the better part of 1 to 2 years, and it speaks directly to the laptop computers that are in the cars and what they're capable of doing them. To date, we've had our own standalone report writing system. We may be able to utilize the city police's report writing system. So now the city dispatch can issue report numbers to the fire department, to the city police, and to the park police. The park police would have access to any information included in our reports and vice versa. Once we get that up and running by December 1st, that's going to carry us probably through the winter, and then we have to prepare ourselves as an organization for the new radio system. So once they get that tweaked, they're switching from the current radio system that they use to a Motorola system, and again, that's going to impact our operation when it comes to training. So I would like to think, have our work cut out for us.
Any questions? I know the takeover events were kind of a constant looming thing for the summer, so thank you, to the Park Police Department for being, vigilant and on top of
we're
all
fortunate
those.
that they touched the city police as much as they touched us, so we were able to collaborate. And regardless of where they threatened to show up, we had members of both departments ready to address whatever surfaced.
That's a good point. And the relationship with the city police, I'm really appreciative of that. So, awesome. Thank you, Chief.
Okay.
All right, next up, Parks.
So as Director Carlson mentioned, it finally rained. So even with the weekend precipitation, Naperville has been classified as a moderate drought region up to date. And I know there's been the burning question of how do those dry conditions affect your park maintenance team. On the positive side, the time spent mowing has decreased significantly, and our crews have been able to transition to activities such as sidewalk edging, mulching of trails and landscape beds, and an early start to our refinishing of picnic tables. I'm sure to nobody's surprise, we've had to step up our plant watering. Plant materials, including trees installed up to 2 years ago, often require additional visits from our water trucks. On the flip side, some of our fall planting has been delayed. Though our fall tree order arrived a couple of weeks ago, staff has been waiting for more favorable weather conditions before installing those. Plans to revamp some of the landscaping out front here at the Fort Hill Activity Center were also delayed slightly, just waiting for those temps to cool down and the return of some precipitation, but those should be happening very shortly. We heard from a handful of our residents with concerns about low water levels in our ponds, including several 311 tickets received specifically regarding the pond at Summerfield Lake. Surface levels in our ponds were down nearly 2 feet in some cases, exposing barren shorelines and the tops of subsurface aquatic plants. These shallower depths allow bodies of water to warm to higher temps at a much quicker rate, often resulting in algal blooms. As we know, the purpose of most of our ponds is to serve as stormwater retention, and they are designed to handle those fluctuating water levels. While the abnormally dry conditions resulted in a temporary change in the aesthetics of the area, the return of even that inch of rain we experienced last weekend began to self-correct those reported issues. We're also starting to see some of the trees experience a change in leaf color and an earlier than usual leaf drop. Many services are predicting that the dry season will accelerate leaf drop this year, so that's something we will stay on top of. Thankfully, it does appear that we are entering more typical weather patterns beginning this upcoming week. During the month of September, our crews have been working on several projects. Staff identified the invasive porcelain berry in 2 of our parks and have been working to eradicate that before it expands out of control. Eradication of woody invasive plants at the Paddleboat Quarry, the Nike Cricket Basin, and Wagon Riverfront Park are also in progress or have been completed. A ball field renovation, repairing the infield skin and sideline areas was recently wrapped up at Frontier Field number 4. Landscape bed installations and renovations continue at Knock Knolls, the administration building, and on the Riverwalk. And then on top of those activities, our sports season kicked off earlier this month, and staff is working on preparing the routes for our hay rack season at Seeger Park and Knock Knolls. So plenty going on out in the parks.
Awesome.
Questions? Thank you.
Thanks. All right, planning and development.
Yes, thank you. I have 2 items for the board this evening. The first item is the 2025 capital budget development. Staff recently formulated the 2025 capital budget for inclusion in the 2025 Naperville Park District budget. The development of the 2025 capital budget involved a cross-functional team with staff and Parks and Recreation Committee members, which started with conversations early this year, as well as resident input received through the community engagement process, part of the 2025 capital projects virtual open house, which we conducted in July. Park District staff took into consideration resident comments when formulating and finalizing project plans and cost estimates to include in the 2025 capital budget. Per the capital projects policy and public participation process, a checklist identifying proposed communication tools and strategies for rolling out 2025 capital improvement projects next year will be released to the Park Board via an upcoming weekly packet memo. The public participation process consists of communication tools that allow for comprehensive community outreach. Next, I'd like to provide a brief update on the grant of temporary construction easement for the west branch of the DuPage River Shoreline Stabilization Project. This is along the Riverwalk area from Jefferson Avenue to JC's Playground. As you may recall, we processed a similar temporary construction easement and associated agreements for the Stanford Meadows and Brighton Ridge Park shoreline restoration projects earlier in the year. Those projects are on track to be completed this year. But we plan on bringing the next phase, which is the DuPage River West Branch Shoreline Restoration TC, as we call it, temporary construction easement, to the board for consideration next month. So just an update on that. All right, thank you.
Thanks. And finally, recreation.
All right, last time. Fall basketball registration kicked off this month, and within the first hour, staff processed 968 registrations. We are currently finalizing rosters and creating teams as needed. We anticipate final registration numbers to be very similar to last year, with approximately 1,800 participants in total. The Fee Assistance Program continues to support the recreation needs of families experiencing financial hardship. Through the month of August, the district has assisted 159 families, equating to 435 individuals, which is pretty amazing, and we continue to see growth in that program, which is wonderful. With Fort Hill Activity Center, we're continuing to see an increase in both membership sales and usage. We currently have 8,065 members, which is 165 more members than we had back in July. And overall usage compared to last September is up between 13 to 18% across the fitness center, tracks, and open gyms. Birthday parties also continue to be in high demand. And in the month of September, we hosted 41 parties, which is very similar to the number of parties we hosted back in June of this year, and 20 more parties than we hosted in September of last year. Staff are busy preparing for the many events and activities taking place in October. And we kick off the month with hay rides, ghost stories in the park, followed by Creepy Critters Month at Knocknalls Nature Center, and ending with Halloween happening. And it probably will go that fast as we get to the end of the year. And then finally, on Saturday, the district will be celebrating the 10th anniversary of Knocknalls Nature Center. The event begins at 10 a.m. and runs until 1 p.m. with a variety of activities for all ages, including nature walks, yoga, seed bomb making, lots of fun kind of hands-on things. And prior to the anniversary activities, everyone is welcome to attend the dedication of the Frank J. Russ Pavilion at 9:30 a.m. in the Upper Grove. That's it. Any questions? No. All right. Thank you.
No, sorry. I don't
Sorry, go ahead. Commissioner Yancey.
This reflects more on how well I read my emails from schools. Do you guys promote the fee assistance program in the schools?
We do.
Okay. 'Cause
Yes.
I thought I've seen it before, and that's why I'm like,
And that's a recent addition, as we've looked earlier this year for ways to really promote the fee assistance program and try to make sure that that information is out there for the families that really need it. So that has been an addition in recent months. Yes. Yep.
Great. Great. Commissioner Janner, any questions?
Nope.
All right.
All right.
No, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. All right, and that brings us to the end. The next regular meeting of the Park Board of Commissioners will be October 10th, 2024, at 7 p.m. here at Fort Hill Activity Center.
Move to adjourn you almost tricked me there. Move to adjourn the September 26th, 2024 regular meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thanks. Have a good night, Rich, or Commissioner Janner.
Good night.
All right, thank you, everyone.